so leany? Why are we so leany? Oh, oh, oh. You knock this off, Mommy? Why are we so leany today? Yeah? Can Mommy have a burp cloth? Is that okay? Yeah? Can Mommy have a burp cloth? Oh, it's so wiggly. You know, what are you doing? Yeah. Good morning. Becca says good morning. Shh, 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 shh. You weren't grumbly a minute ago. Why are we all of a sudden? Oh, okay. Okay. Here, I need this for you. Yeah. Okay. Okay, Grumble Pants. Okay. Let's get our coffee. I know. Yeah. Someone is a Grumble Pants. That's okay. Someone is a Grumble Pants and that's okay. Someone is a Grumble Pants and that's okay. Yes, you are a Grumble Pants. Yes, you are. Okay. Yes, you are a Grumble Pants. Yes, you are a Grumble Pants. Hey, what's the matter? You just took a nap. A nap sounds great. All of my sleep last night felt like a little bit of naps. Oh, honey. Honey, honey, honey. Yeah. What's wrong? What's wrong, my angel? What is it? Tell Mommy. Yeah. You're very welcome, Becca. You're very welcome. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I know. I know. Didn't nap here, but I went to bed at like 10 o'clock. Hey, hey, hey. What's that about? What does that sound for? What does that sound for? Hey, Natasha. Natasha's here. Okay. Shh, 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 oh, it's okay. You know, we're tired. She didn't sleep very well last night. That's all. Yeah. So we're just gonna rock a little. Yeah, we are. Yeah. That's what we're gonna do. You see outside? A little bit of a gloomy day. Five or fish. It could be a song. Grumble Pants. Grumble Pants, Grumble Pants, Grumbly Grumble Pants, Grumble Pants, Grumble Pants, Grumbly Grumble Pants. There you go, that's your song. I wrote it just for you, Ray. It's a gift. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm a Grumble Pants, and that's okay, because I haven't slept well in a really long time. I'm a Grumble Pants, and that's okay, because I haven't slept in a really long time. Here's your song. That one was for Becca. The first one was for Ray. Jennifer comes home today, better probably tipsy. There you go. Good baby. You don't want to lean over there. Lean over here. Lean over here. If you lean so far over, it makes it hard to hold you. Yeah, it does. Hey, Avery. Did you have an enjoyable birthday? I hope you did. Oops. Mommy's throwing coffee, but not on purpose. Not on purpose. Mommy doesn't throw things really on purpose unless it's gloves towards the trash can. Trips found a gathering drum. I don't even know what that is. How our birthday twin babies. Your baby has the same birthday as mine? Your birthday was 2 days ago. Hey, Zon. Yeah, we had a lot of friends whose birthday was yesterday. Are you sleeping? Are you sleeping? Almost? Yeah. Oh, we talked about it. I'm sorry. I have a really bad memory for things when I'm tired. Oh, thank you, Isabella. Thank you. That's very sweet of you to say. Hey, Jamantha. What up, Jamantha in the house? We love you, Jamantha. And our love will never die. Remember, Jamantha is that's very sweet of you to say. We threw it on haphazardly and quickly this morning because we have a baby, And who has time to do real makeup when we have a baby, right? Max's big drum. We got him a giant. Oh. We're almost asleep. We're almost asleep. Yeah. Almost asleep. Very good. Almost asleep. I read it. LMB. Oh, good. Good catch. Good catch. But I mean, the people who ask about it are the ones who don't read it, right? We talked about this yesterday. People come in here and they're like, what are you reading? As if I don't usually write it right there. And I'm like, well, the people who need it don't read it anyway, so. Yeah, okay, we're asleep. We're asleep. We're asleep. Okay. Whoa. Sizzles. Did you guys hear that? Oh, thank you, Ray. I appreciate that. It's actually a pantsuit. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, it's a pantsuit that I originally got when I was pregnant with her to wear to Thanksgiving, but it's stretchy, so it still fits, even though I'm not pregnant anymore. I really do read it. The mods get an extra. Oh, they do? That's interesting. I didn't know that. I'm going to jump away for 2 seconds because I need to bring Secret Husband his coffee and make sure he's awake so that he has time to get ready. But you can talk amongst yourselves, talk about your favorite character in the books so far, and I will be right back. Okay, he was already awake and he marked her sleep for me, which is great. Delicious. Good morning for me and the baby that won't stop kicking my bladder. You know what? I gotta tell you, I've been there, Stephanie. I've been there, and I've been there recently. But I tell you, it gets better, and they stop kicking your bladder. But you know what they do instead of kicking your bladder? When they're on the outside, they join you in the bathroom because they don't want you put down, but you still have to pee. So I have learned, it's the only time you felt her, yeah. I have learned to hold her and pee at the same time. I'm getting pretty good at it, actually. In the beginning, it was hard. It's hard to pull up your pants while you're holding somebody, but you learn. You know what I mean? You learn. At first, they start headbutting it, the bladder. Yeah, yeah. Well, she didn't. She was always kicking it because she was transverse for a while. Your dog is making you hold him too. That's funny. All right, she's CP. CP girl. CP girl. How's everyone doing this weekend? What's it like? It's so gloomy here today. Oh, you can't see my hand. But look at how gloomy it is outside. We usually have sun by now, but I guess not. Hey, Lorenzo.
So anyway, I am going to, got another TikTok notification, otherwise I wouldn't have seen the book. Yeah, I just wanted to start a little bit early because we have to leave early, because we have to go to a funeral today, and we need to be in the car, packed up with all of her stuff, and on the road by 9:30, and we usually end at 9:30, so obviously that wouldn't work. I can semi-understand because about once a week. Yes, you have, I really would like to see a picture of that, Brittany. Gloomy and rainy here too. Oh, interesting. Morning. It's sunny today, but so chilly. Really? I think I'd prefer that. Sunny and chilly. I think that's my preferred. Yeah. I think if I had to, like, pick, you know, I would like sunny and, like, 50. Because I like wearing sweaters. I like wearing a jacket. So I want it to be just a little chilly. Not windy, just chilly, but sunny. No rain. You know? That's what I want, if I had my druthers. I don't, but we're just saying, you know what I mean? Anyway, you love sunny and icy. I could take sunny and icy, but I prefer sunny and chilly. Icy feels like a bit extreme, you know? Anyway, let's get into it. That's what it is here in Ohio. Oh, very nice. We have family in Ohio. All right, so let's go ahead and get started, because like I said, we do have to leave early today. I love Christmas too. Oh, Isabella, you know I'm a Christmas baby. My birthday's at Christmas time, so no question about that. Her birthday, I realized the other day, is exactly 1 month after Christmas. So this kid is gonna think that presents just keep coming. Once she realizes Christmas and then birthday, because it goes, for her, like it's a packed winter. We have Christmas, and then my birthday, and then Aunt Rowan's birthday, and then her birthday, and then her grandmother's and then her cousin Patrick's birthday, and then her grandmother's birthday, and then her dad's birthday, and then Austin, her other cousin's birthday. Your November baby, yeah. November is actually, if you ever visit New York, November is my favorite time for that. My babies both have right after Christmas birthday. Wait, which one, Kimberly? I'm the 29th. What are your baby's days? Oh, I'm sorry, Amanda. I posted in Patreon. I thought that would help, but we haven't started reading yet, so don't stress. And hi, Naisa. So I'm the 29th of December. So I'm literally the halfway point between Christmas and New Year's. But Isabella, go in November for your birthday. It's the best time. You got distracted by cleaning. That's totally fair. 2030 and 126. Oh, so really close to me and the baby. You're literally 1 day off from both of us. That's really funny, because I'm the 29th and she's the 25th of January. But yes, if I had a recommendation for anyone wanting to visit New York City, I would say visit either right before or right after Thanksgiving, because it is, oh, don't be sorry. It's a perfect thing to be excited about. To me, that is the best weather in New York. It's brisk and chilly, but not windy usually, and it's not unbearably cold, and it's sunny usually, not usually raining, definitely not snowing yet, and the parks are beautiful, the decorations are all up, you know, blah, blah. Oh, December 15th, and one's due. Oh, January 17th. So, I mean, you're gonna be really close. She's January 25th, so that's like right there, right? Yeah. At the moment, Christmas is not hyperfixation. Well, then go at Christmas if you want to. It's just, Christmas is a little bit harder in New York because sometimes there's snow and so it gets sludgy, because the city doesn't, the city has a hard time with snow, so it turns sludgy very easily, and so then you're walking through like dirty snow a lot, which isn't fun, right? It's fun for like the first hour when it's all fresh and clean, but then once it gets drug around by everyone walking around in the cars and everything, it's ugly, right? But November, there's none of that, so everything's pretty. You can still see all the Christmas decorations because they put them up at Thanksgiving anyway. Definitely makes sense. I love snow. Yeah, if you go at the end of November, you'd get to see both, you know? So anyway, those are my recommendations. But listen, do what makes you happy. I'm not here to tell you no. I'm just here to give recommendations. So let's read chapter 6. Here we go. Coriolanus relished the disappointment on Sejanus's face, but not for long, because that would have been petty. Look, Sejanus, you may not think so, but this is me doing you a favor. Think about it. What would your father say if he found out that you traded a tribute that he lobbied for? I don't care, said Sejanus, but he didn't sound convincing. All right, well then forget about your father. What about the academy? He asked. I doubt trading tributes is even allowed. I've already been slapped with 1 demerit for meeting Lucy Gray early. What if I tried to trade her? Besides, the poor thing is already attached to me. Dumping her would be like kicking a kitten. I don't think I have the heart to do it. I shouldn't have asked. I never even considered that I might be making things difficult for you. I'm sorry. It's just... Sejanus's words began to spill out. It's just this whole Hunger Games thing is making me crazy. I mean, what are we even doing here? Putting kids in an arena to kill one another? It feels wrong on so many levels. Animals protect their young, right? And so do we. So we should protect our children. It's built into us as human beings. Who really wants to do this? It's unnatural. Yeah, it's not pretty, Coriolanus agreed, glancing around. No, it's evil. It goes against everything that I think is right in the world. I can't be part of it, especially not with Marcus. I gotta get out of it somehow, Sejanus said, his eyes filling with tears. His distress made Coriolanus uncomfortable, especially when he valued his own chance to participate so highly. Well, you could always ask another mentor. I don't think you'd have a problem finding a taker. Nah, I'm not handing Marcus over to anyone else. You're the only one that I would trust him with. Sejanus turned to the cage where the tributes had settled down for the night. What does it matter anyway? If it's not Marcus, it'll be someone else. It might be easier, but it still won't be right. All right, bye. See you later, Becca. He collected his backpack. Anyway, I better get home. That's sure to be pleasant. I don't think you've broken any rules, said Coriolanus. I publicly aligned myself with the districts, and in my father's eyes, I've broken the only rule that really matters. Sejanus gave him a small smile. Thanks again, though, for helping me out. Yeah, thanks for the sandwiches, said Coriolanus. It was delicious. Well, I'll tell Ma you said so, said Sejanus. It'll make her not to hear it. Coriolanus' own return home was somewhat marred by Grandmamma's disapproval of his picnic with Lucy Gray. To feed her is one thing, she said, but to dine with her, that you consider her your equal, suggests, but no, she isn't. There's always something barbaric about the districts. Your own father used to say, those people only drink water because it didn't rain blood. You ignore that at your own peril, Coriolanus. She's just a girl, Grandmama, Tigress said. Oh, sorry. She's just a girl, Grandmama, Tigress said. No, she's district. Trust me, that one hasn't been a girl in a long time, the Grandmama replied. Coriolanus thought uneasily of the tributes in the truck, debating whether or not to kill him. They had certainly demonstrated a taste for his blood, but only Lucy Gray had objected. Lucy Gray's different, he argued. She took my side in the truck when the others wanted to attack me. She had my back in the monkey house, too. The Grandmama held her ground. Would she have bothered if you weren't her mentor? Of course not. She's a wily little thing who began to manipulate you the moment that you met. Tread carefully, my boy. That is all I am saying. Coriolanus didn't bother arguing, as the Grandmama always took the worst view of anything that she deemed to be district. He went straight to bed, dropping with fatigue, but couldn't quite quiet his mind. He took his mother's powder compact from the drawer on the nightstand and ran his fingers over the rose engraved on the heavy silver case. Roses are red, violets are blue, birds in the heavens know I love you. When he clicked the latch, he opened the lid and a floral scent wafted out. In the shadowy light from the Corso, his pale blue eyes reflected back from the round, slightly distorted mirror. Just like your father's, the Grandmama frequently reminded him. He wished he had had his mother's eyes instead, and he never said so. Maybe it was best to take after his father. His mother had not really been tough enough for this world. He finally drifted off, thinking of her, but it was Lucy Gray, spinning in her rainbow dress, who sang in his dreams. In the morning, Coriolanus awoke to a delicious smell. He went to the kitchen to find that Tigress had been baking since before dawn. He gave her shoulder a squeeze. Tigress, you need to get more sleep. I couldn't sleep thinking about what's going on at the zoo, she said. Some of the kids, they just look so young this year. Or maybe it's that I'm just getting older. It is disturbing to see them locked up in that cage, Coriolanus admitted. It was disturbing to see you there as well, she said, pulling on an oven mitt and taking the pan of bread pudding from the oven. Fabricia told me to throw out the stale bread from the party, but I thought, why waste it? Hot from the oven, drizzled in corn syrup, bread pudding was one of his favorites. Oh, it looks amazing, he told Tigress. And there's plenty too, so you can take a piece to Lucy Gray. She said she liked sweet things, and I doubt there are many things like that left in her future. Tigress set the pan on the oven with a bang. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I don't know what's gotten into me. I'm wound up as tight as a spring. Coriolanus touched her arms. No, it's the games. You know I have to do the mentorship, right? If I'm going to stand a chance at getting the prize, I need to win that for all of us. No, of course you do, Corio. Of course. And we're so proud of you and how well you're doing. She cut a large slice of the bread pudding and slid it onto a plate. Now eat up. You don't want to be late. At the academy, Coriolanus felt his apprehension melt away as he basked in the response to his recklessness the previous day. With the exception of Livia Cardew, who made it clear that she thought he had cheated and should be dismissed as a mentor immediately, his classmates all congratulated him. If his professors were not so openly supportive, he still received several smiles and subtle pats on the back. Satria took him aside after homeroom. Well done. You pleased Dr. Gall, and that won you points with the faculty. She'll give a good report to President Ravenstill, and that will reflect well on all of us. Only you do need to be careful. You were lucky how it played out, but what if those brats had attacked you in the cage? The peacekeepers would have been bound to rescue you, and there could have been casualties on both sides. Things might have been quite different if you hadn't landed your little rainbow girl. Which is why I turned down Sejanus's offer to trade tributes, he said. Satria's mouth dropped open. No! Imagine what Strabo Plinth would have said if that went public. Imagine what he owes me if it doesn't. The thought of blackmailing Strabo Plinth had definitely appealed to him. She laughed. Spoken like a snow. Now, get to class. We need the rest of your record spotless if you're going to go raking up demerits. The 24 mentors spent that morning in a seminar led by Professor Crispus Demigloss, their excitable old history professor. The class brainstormed ideas beyond the addition of the mentors to get people to watch the Hunger Games. Show me that I haven't wasted my time with you for 4 years, he said with a little titter. If history teaches you anything, it's how to make the unwilling comply. Sejanus's hand went up directly. Yes, Sejanus. Before we talk about making people watch, shouldn't we begin with the question of whether or not it's the right thing to do to even watch it? He said. Let's stay on topic, please, said Professor Demigloss, and scanned the room for a more productive answer. How do we get people to watch? Fedius Creed raised his hand. Bigger and burlier than most his age, he had been one of Coriolanus's inner circle since birth. His family was old capital money. Their fortune, largely in District 7 timber, had taken a hit during the war, but had rebounded nicely during the Reconstruction. His scoring, the District 4 girl, reflected his status quite accurately. High, but not stellar. Enlighten us, Festus, said Professor Demigloss. Well, simple. We go straight to the punitive, Festus answered. Instead of suggesting people watch, we make it the law. And what happens if you don't watch, then? Asked Clemencia, not bothering to raise her hand or even to look up from her notes. She was popular both with students and faculty, and her niceness excused a lot. Well, in the districts, we execute you. In the capital, we make you move to the districts, and if you mess up again next year, then we execute you too, said Festus cheerfully. The class laughed and began to give it serious thought. How could you enforce it? You couldn't send the peacekeepers door to door, perhaps some random sampling when you needed to prepare to answer questions that you've proved that you watched the games, and if you hadn't, what would be an appropriate punishment? No, not execution or banishment. Those were too extreme. Maybe some loss of privilege in the capital? Maybe a public whipping in the districts? That would make the punishment personal to all. Yeah, but the problem is it's still sickening to watch, said Clemencia. That's why people avoid it. Sejanus jumped in. Of course they do. Who wants to watch a group of children kill each other? Only a vicious and twisted person. Human beings may not be perfect, but we gotta be better than that. How do you know? Said Livius snippishly. And how does someone from the districts have any idea what we want to watch in the capital anyway? You weren't even here during the war. Sejanus fell silent, unable to deny that. Well, because most of us are basically... that's because most of us are basically decent human beings, said Lysistrata Vickers, folding her hands neatly on her notebook. Everything about her was neat, from her carefully braided hair to her evenly filed fingernails to the crisp white cuffs of her uniform blouse, setting off her smooth brown skin. Most of us don't want to watch other people suffer. We watched the worst things during the war, And after, Coriolanus reminded her. There had been some bloody stuff broadcast over the airwaves during the dark days, and many a brutal execution after the Treaty of Treason had been signed. But we had a real stake in that, Corio, said Arcane Crane, giving him a sock on the arm from the seat to his right, always so loud, always socking people. The Crane's apartment faced the snows, and sometimes, even from across the Corso, he could hear her bellowing at night. We were watching our enemies die. I mean, like rebel scum and whatnot. Who cares about these kids one way or another? Well, possibly their families do, said Sejanus. You mean the handful of nobodies in the districts? So what? Arcane boomed. Why should the rest of us care if one of them wins? Livia looked pointedly at Sejanus. I know I don't. I get more excited over the dog fight, admitted Festus, especially if I'm betting on it. So you would like it if we gave odds on the tributes? Coriolanus joked. That would make you tune in then, huh? Well, it would certainly liven things up, Festus exclaimed. A few people chuckled, but then the class went quiet as they mulled over the idea. It's gruesome, said Clemencia, twisting her hair around a finger thoughtfully. Do you mean for real? You really think we should have betting on who wins? No, not really, Coriolanus said and then cocked his head. On the other hand, if it's a success, then I guess, yeah, absolutely, Clemmy. I do want to go down in history as the one who brought gambling to the games. Clemencia shook her head in exasperation, but as he walked to lunch, Coriolanus couldn't help thinking that the idea did have some merit. The dining hall cooks were still working with the reaping buffet leftovers, and the creamed ham on toast had to be a high point of the school lunch that year. Coriolanus savored every bite, unlike the original buffet when he'd been so distraught over Dean Highbottom's threatening manner that he'd barely tasted a thing. The mentors had been instructed to gather on the balcony of Heavensby Hall after lunch and ahead of their first meetings with their tributes. Each mentor had been given a brief questionnaire to complete with their assignee, partly as an icebreaker and partly as a matter of record. Very little information had been archived on the previous tributes, and this was an effort to correct that. Many of his classmates had difficulty hiding their nerves as they headed over, talking and joking a little too loudly, but Coriolanus had gotten a leg up by meeting Lucy Gray twice already. He felt completely at ease, even eager to see her again, to thank her for the song, to give her Tigress's bread pudding. Yeah, it was a horrible conversation, but not surprising, right, Avery? I mean, not surprising. They had to strategize over their interview. The chatter died away as the mentors pushed through the swinging balcony doors and caught sight of what awaited them below. All signs of reaping festivities had been stripped away, leaving the vast hall cold and imposing. 24 small tables flanked with 2 folding chairs each were spread out in orderly rows. Each table bore a sign with a district number followed by B or G, and next to it sat a concrete block with a metal ring on the top. Before the students could discuss the layout, 2 peacekeepers entered and stood guard by the main entrance, and the tributes were brought in single file. The peacekeepers outnumbered them 2 to 1, but it was unlikely that any of the tributes could make a break for it given the heavy shackles attached to their wrists and ankles. The tributes were led to the table corresponding to their district and their gender, directed to sit, and then chained to concrete weights. Some of the tributes drooped in their seats, chins almost on their chests, but the more defiant ones tilted their heads back and surveyed the hall. It was one of the most impressive chambers in the capital, and several mouths gaped open, awed by the grandeur of the marble columns and the arched windows, the vaulted ceilings that Coriolanus thought must have been a marvel to them, compared to any of the flat and ugly structures that were signature style of many of the districts. As the tributes' eyes traveled around the room, they eventually made their way to the mentor's balcony and to the 2 groups that found themselves locked in one another's gaze for a long and raw moment. When Professor Sickle banged on the door behind them, the mentors gave a collective jump. "Stop eyeballing your tributes and get down there," she ordered. "You only have 15 minutes, so use them wisely. And remember, complete the paperwork for our records as best you can." Coriolanus led the way down the steps that spiraled into the hall, and when his eyes met Lucy Gray's, he could tell that she'd been looking for him. Seeing her chains disquieted him, but he gave her a reassuring smile, and some of the worry did leave her face. Sliding into the seat across from her, He frowned at her shackled hands and gestured to the nearest peacekeeper. Excuse me, would it be possible to have these removed? The peacekeeper did him the favor of checking with the officer at the door, but gave him a sharp shake of the head. All right, well, thanks for trying just the same, said Lucy Gray. She braided her hair back in a pretty fashion, but her face looked sad and tired, and the bruise still marred her cheek. She noticed him looking and touched it. Is it hideous? She asked. It's just healing, he said. We don't have a mirror, so I can only imagine. She didn't bother to put on her sparkly camera personality for him, and in a way, he was glad. Maybe she was beginning to trust him. How are you? He asked. Sleepy, scared, hungry, said Lucy Gray. Only a couple people came by the zoo this morning to feed us. I got an apple, which was more than most got, but it wasn't exactly filling. Well, I can help a little bit with that. And he pulled Tigress's packet from his book bag. Lucy Gray brightened and carefully unwrapped the wax paper to reveal the big square of bread pudding. Suddenly, her eyes filled with tears. Oh, no, you don't like it? He exclaimed. I can try it and bring something else. I can. Lucy Gray shook her head. It's my favorite. She swallowed it hard and broke off a bit and slipped it between her lips. Mine too. My cousin Tigress made it this morning, so it should be fresh, he said. It's perfect. It tastes just like my mama did it. Please tell Tigress I said thank you. She took another bite, and she was still fighting tears. Coriolanus felt a twinge inside of him. He wanted to reach out and touch her face, to tell her that things were going to be all right, but no, of course they weren't. Not for her. He fumbled in his back pocket for a handkerchief and offered it to her. I still have the one from last night. She reached for her pocket. We've got drawers full, he said. Just take it. Lucy Gray did, dabbing at her eyes and wiping at her nose, and then she took a deep breath and straightened up. All right, so what's our plan today? I'm supposed to fill out a questionnaire about your background. Do you mind? He pulled out the single sheet of paper. No, not a bit. I love talking about myself, she said. The page began with basic stuff. Name, district address, date of birth, hair, eye color, height, weight, any disability. Things got more difficult with family makeup. Both Lucy Gray's parents and her two older siblings were dead. Is your whole family gone? Asked Coriolanus. I got a couple of cousins and the rest of the covey. She leaned in to check the paper. Is there space to write them down? There wasn't, but there should be, he thought, given how fractured families were during the war. There should be a place for anyone who cared for you at all. In fact, maybe that should be the question to start with. Who cares about you? Or even better, who can you count on? Are you married? He laughed and then remembered that they married young in some of the districts. How did he know? Maybe she did have a husband back in 12. Why? Are you asking? Said Lucy Gray seriously. He looked surprised, because I do think that this could work out. Coriolanus felt himself blush a little at her teasing. I'm pretty sure you could do better. Haven't yet. A flicker of pain crossed her face, but she hid it with a smile. I bet you got sweethearts lined up all around the block. Her flirtation left Coriolanus tongue-tied. Where were they? He checked the paper. Oh yes, her family. Who raised you? After you lost your parents, I mean. Hey, Christina. Oh, an old man took us in for a fee. The 6 covey kids who were left. He didn't much raise us, but he didn't mess with us either, so honestly it could have been worse, she said. Really, I am grateful. People weren't excited about taking in 6 of us. He died last year, though, of the black lung. Some of us are old enough to manage things now. They moved on to occupation. At 16, Lucy Gray wasn't old enough for the mines, but she didn't attend school either. I make my living entertaining people. People pay you to sing and dance? Said Coriolanus. I wouldn't think that district people could afford that. Well, most can't, she said. Sometimes they pool their money and 1 or 2, 3 couples get married on the same day and they hire us. Me and the rest of the covey, that is. Well, anyway, what's left of us. The peacekeepers let us keep our instruments when they rounded us up. They're some of our best customers. Coriolanus remembered how they tried not to smile at the reaping, how no one had interfered with her singing and dancing. He made a note of her employment, finishing the form, but he had plenty of questions of his own. Tell me about the covey. What side did they take during the war? Well, neither. My people don't take a side. We're just us. Something behind him captured her attention. What's your friend's name again? That one with the sandwiches? I think he's having some trouble. Sejanus? He looked over his shoulder and back through the rows to where Sejanus sat across from Marcus. An untouched meatloaf of roast beef meal of roast beef sandwiches and cake languished between them. Sejanus was speaking entreatingly, but Marcus just stared fixedly ahead, his arms crossed, his whole being unresponsive. Around the room, the other tributes were in various stages of engagement. Several had covered their faces and were refusing to communicate. A few were crying. Some warily answered questions, but eventually looked hostile. 5 minutes, said Professor Sickle. That reminded Coriolanus of another 5 minutes that they needed to address. So the night before the games, we're going to get 5-minute interview on television in which we can do whatever we want. I thought maybe you might sing again. Lucy Gray considered it. Well, I'm not sure there's a point to it. I mean, when I sang the song at the reaping, that didn't have anything to do with you all here. I didn't plan it. It's just part of a long, sad tale that nobody gives a hoot about me. It hit a nerve with people, Coriolanus observed. And the Valley song, like you told me, was maybe a way to get food, she said. It was beautiful, he said. It made me feel like my mother, she died when I was 5, and it made me remember a song that she used to sing. And what about your daddy? She asked. Lost him too, actually. Same year, Coriolanus told her, and she nodded sympathetically. So you're an orphan, like me. Coriolanus didn't like being called that. Livia had taunted him about his parentless state when he was small, making him feel alone and unwanted when he was neither. Still, there was that emptiness that most other kids didn't understand, but Lucy Gray did, being an orphan herself. Yeah, it could be worse. I have a grandmama. That's my grandmother and Tigress. Do you miss your parents? Lucy Gray asked. I wasn't that close with my father. My mother, yeah, I guess sure. It was still hard to talk about her. You miss yours? Yeah, a lot. Both of them. Wearing my mama's dress is the only thing that keeps me together right now. She ran her finger down the ruffles. It's like she's wrapping her arms right around me. Coriolanus thought of his mother's compact and the scented powder. Yeah, my mother always smelled like roses, he said, and then he felt awkward. He rarely mentioned his mother even at home. How had that conversation even gotten here? Anyway, I think your song moved a lot of people. Well, that's nice of you to say, thank you, but it's not really a reason to sing in the interview, she said. If it's the night before, then we can rule out food. I've got no reason to win anybody over at that point. Coriolanus tried hard to think of a reason, but this time her singing would only benefit him. It's a shame, though, with your voice. I'll sing you a few bars backstage then, she promised. He would have to work to persuade her, but for the moment he let it drop. Instead, he let her interview him for a few minutes, answering more questions about his family and how they'd survived the war. He found her easy to tell things to somehow, because he knew that all he recounted would vanish in the arena. Was it because he knew everything he recounted would vanish in the arena in a few days? Lucy Gray seemed in better spirits, and there had been no more tears. As they shared their stories, a sense of familiarity had begun to grow between them. When the whistle blew to signal the end of the session, she tucked his handkerchief neatly back into the pocket of his book bag and gave his forearm a squeeze of thanks. Sorry, I was just checking the time. The mentors headed obediently to the main exit where Professor Sickle instructed them. You're to go to the high biology building for a lab debriefing. No one questioned her, but in the halls they wondered aloud about the reason. Coriolanus was hoping it meant Dr. Gall would be there. His neatly completed questionnaire was in stark contrast to the spotty efforts of his classmates, and this could be another moment for him to stand out. Mine wouldn't speak a word. Not a word, said Clemencia. All I've gotten is what I had after the reaping. His name, Reaper Ash. Can you imagine naming your child Reaper and then him ending in the reaping? There was no reaping when he was born, Lysistrata pointed out. It's just a farming name. Yeah, I guess that's true, said Clemencia. Mine spoke. I almost wish that she hadn't, Arcane practically yelled. Why? What did she say? Said Clemencia. Oh, it seems that she spent most of her time in District 10 butchering hogs. Arcane made a gagging motion. Yeek. What am I supposed to do with that? I wish that I could make up something better. Suddenly she stopped, causing Coriolanus and Festus to run into her. Wait! That's it! Watch it, said Festus, pushing her forward, and she ignored him and chattered on, demanding everyone's attention. I could make up something brilliant. I visited District 10, you know, and it's like my second home. Before the war, her family had developed luxury hotels in a vacation destination, and Arcane had traveled extensively in Panem. She still bragged about it, even though she had been as capital-bound as anyone since the war. Anyway, I could come up with something better than the ups and downs of a slaughterhouse. You're lucky, said Pliny Harrington. Everybody called him Pup to differentiate him from the naval commander father who'd watched over the waters of District 4. The commander tried to mold him in his image, but insisting that Pup have a crew-cut, shined shoes. Even so, his son was a natural slob. He dug a piece of ham out of his braces with his thumbnail and flicked it to the floor. At least she isn't afraid of blood. Why? Is yours afraid of blood? Asked Arcane. No idea. She cried for 15 minutes straight, Pup grimaced. I don't think District 7 prepared her for a hangnail, let alone the games. You better button your jacket before class, Liz Estrada reminded him. Oh, right, Pup sighed. He worked on the top button, and it came off in his hand. Stupid uniform. As they filed into the lab, Coriolanus's pleasure at seeing Dr. Gall again was dampened by the sight of Dean Highbottom stationed behind the professor's table, collecting the questionnaires. He ignored Coriolanus, but then he wasn't particularly friendly to anyone else either. He left the talking to the head game maker. Dr. Gall pointed at the mutation rabbit until the class... Dr. Gall poked at the mutation rabbit until the class had settled in and then greeted them with, hippity-hoppity, how did you fare? Did they greet you like friends or did they just sit there and stare? The students shot a confused glance at one another as she retrieved the questionnaires. For those of you who don't know, I'm Dr. Gall, the head game maker, and I will be mentoring your mentorships. Let's see, what do I have to work with, shall we? She flipped through the papers, frowned, and then pulled out one and held it up before the class. This is what we were asking you to do. Thank you, Mr. Snow. Now, what happened to the rest of you? Inside, he glowed, but he maintained a neutral expression. The best move now was to support his classmates, and after a long pause, he spoke up. I just had good luck with my tributes. She's a talker. Most of the kids wouldn't even communicate, and even my girl can't see the point of making an effort in the interview. Sejanus turned to Coriolanus. Well, why should they? What does it get them? No matter what they do, they're just going to be thrown into the arena and left to fend for themselves. A murmur of assent came from the room. Dr. Gall peered at Sejanus. You're the boy with the sandwiches. Why'd you do it? The room. Dr. Gall peered at Sejanus. You're the boy with the sandwiches. Why'd you do it? Sejanus stiffened and avoided her gaze. Well, they were starving. We're going to kill them. Do we have to torture them ahead of time as well? Huh. A rebel sympathizer? Asked Dr. Gall. Keeping his eyes on his notebook, Sejanus persisted. Hardly rebels. Some of them were only 2 years old when the war ended. The oldest were 8. And now that the war's over, they're just citizens of Panem, aren't they? Same as us. Isn't that what the anthem of the Capitol does? It says, you give us light, you reunite. It's supposed to be everyone's government, right? Well, that is the general idea. Do go on, Dr. Gall encouraged him. Well, then it should protect everyone, said Sejanus. It's #1 job, and I don't see how making them fight to the death even achieves that. Obviously, you don't approve of the Hunger Games, said Dr. Gall. That must be hard for a mentor. That must interfere with your assignment. Sejanus paused for a moment, and then he sat straight up to steel himself and looked her in the eye. Perhaps you should replace me then and assign someone more worthy. There was an audible gasp from the classroom. Not on your life, boy, chuckled Dr. Gall. Compassion is key to the games, and empathy is the thing that we lack. Right, Casca? She glanced at Dean Highbottom, but he only fiddled with a pen. Sejanus's face fell, but he didn't argue back. Coriolanus felt like he'd ceded the battle, but he couldn't believe that he'd given up the war. He was tougher than he looked, that Sejanus Plinth. Imagine throwing a mentorship back in Dr. Gall's face. But the exchange only seemed to invigorate her. Now, wouldn't it be wonderful if everyone in the audience felt as passionate about the tributes as this young man here? That should be our goal. No, said Dean Highbottom. Yes, for them to really get involved, continued Dr. Gall, and she struck her forehead. You've given me a marvelous idea. A way to let the people personally affect the outcome of the games. Suppose that we let the audience send the tributes food into the arena. Feed them like your friend here did in the zoo. Would they feel more involved? Thetis perked up. I would feel involved if I could bet on the one that I was feeding. Just this morning, Coriolanus said maybe we should give odds to the tributes. Dr. Gall beamed at Coriolanus. Of course he did. All right then. You all put your heads together and you figure that out. You write me a proposal on how this could work and the team will consider it. Consider it, said Olivia. You mean you might actually use our ideas? Well, why not, if they have merit? Dr. Gall tossed a stack of questionnaires onto the table. What young brains lack in experience, they sometimes make up for in idealism. Nothing seems impossible for them. Old Costco over here came up with the concept for the Hunger Games when he was my student at university, just a few years older than you all are now. All eyes turned to Dean Highbottom, who addressed Dr. Gall. It was theoretical. And so is this, unless it proves useful, said Dr. Gall. I'll expect it on my desk in the morning. Coriolanus sighed inwardly. Another group project, another opportunity to compromise his ideas in the name of collaboration. Either have them cut entirely, or worse, watered down until they lost their bite. The class voted on a committee of 3 mentors to draw up the thing. Of course, he was elected, and he could hardly decline. Dr. Gall had to leave for a meeting and directed the class to discuss the proposal amongst themselves. He and Clemencia and Arcane were to convene that evening, but since they all wanted to visit their tributes first, they agreed to meet up at 8 o'clock at the zoo. Later, they would go to the library to write up their proposal. So, the chapter's not over, but I do have to go because I do not I need to get her ready and feed her and everything for us to go. But we will finish that chapter on Monday, and it's only a couple more pages, so we'll be able to read the next chapter with it. Sorry for having to cut it short, but I will see you all Monday. We have 2 lives on Monday. One is book club and the other is class. We have, we're doing putty making class. So we have both of those on Monday, and that is the whole kit and caboodle. All right. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye.